Et bonjour YouTube, bienvenue dans cette nouvelle VOD, le Disco Elysium.
Mazovian Socio-Economics.
Ça y est, j'ai appris le communisme.
0.000% of communism has been built. Evil child-murdering billionaires still rule the world with a shit-eating grin. All he has managed to do is make himself sad. He is starting to suspect Krasmezov fucked him over, personally, with his socio-economic theory. It has, however, made him into a very smart boy with something like a university degree in truth. Instead of building communism, he now builds a precise model of this grotesque, duplicitous world.
Les répliques gauchistes donnent plus 4 d'expérience. -1 en projection analytique, ça réagit de partout. -1 en autorité, un va communiste opprimé. Bah, enfin. Très bien. Bah, du coup, on va se rajouter 1 en projection analytique pour compenser. Démontrer votre autorité à Titus Hardy. Ok, on reviendra. Est-ce que Garth c'est quelque chose à propos de la nana?
Can I help you?
J'ai pas assez d'argent. Au revoir. Est-ce qu'elle, elle sait quelque chose?
Just a moment.
La vieille femme se tourne vers le patron du café.
And there's no public phones nearby?
The closest phone booth is down the coast. Sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am.
It's fine, I understand. Thank you anyway. I'm glad to see you again, dear.
The lady is distressed. Perhaps something more upbeat might cheer her up.
Salut Léna, alors ça roule ma poule?
Please don't trouble yourself about me, sweetie. I was just hoping to make a call, but the Whirling's phone line isn't working.
Mais tu vas utiliser la radio de notre voiture, t'inquiète pas.
A faint smile tells you she appreciates the effort, but at the moment her mind is on more serious matters.
The union office probably has a phone, but I can't really get there. Or to the phone booth down the coast. And Gary's phone is dead too.
Attendez, c'est quoi le problème avec la ligne téléphonique?
The manager was vague about it.
Pourquoi vous vouliez passer un coup de fil?
To let the young woman who's house sitting for us know that we may be delayed. Morel, my husband, and Gary were supposed to get back by Monday night, but they're still missing, and I haven't heard from them. I was also hoping she'd heard from Morel.
A little missing persons puzzle might just be the thing to take your mind off the hangover.
Bon, admettons, est-ce la première fois que votre mari disparaît?
That's just it. This isn't like him at all. He always plans his expeditions so carefully. But you have more important things to worry about.
More important than a missing expedition? I don't know. Expeditions often lead to something interesting.
Votre mari est-il un scientifique?
Oh, yes. A zoologist. A cryptozoologist, to
C'est
be
quoi
more
la
precise.
cryptozoologie?
It's a pseudoscience that attempts to legitimize research into mythological beasts and urban legends.
That's one opinion, yes. And people are entitled to their opinions.
Ouais, désolé, Kim est incroyablement scientifique.
My apologies, ma'am. I did not mean to undermine your hobby.
It's not a hobby, dear. It's a subfield of zoology, one specializing in animal species that are so exceedingly rare that many assume them to be extinct or even fictitious. Searching for such species called cryptids is difficult and often thankless, and frankly, many scientists are too lazy to do it. Universities these days are rarely interested in supporting real research.
Bah si, il est vrai, pas sur des trucs qui n'existent pas.
The quality of research at Revacholian universities has been on the decline, but you doubt there was ever a time when cryptozoology was embraced by the academic elite. She's completely internalized her husband's struggles. They are her own.
Vous pourriez me parler de cette expédition à laquelle participait votre mari?
Just some field work, sweetie. Morel is a highly trained scientist. He and his assistant Gary are studying
alors.
an extremely rare
Si en plus c'est des
species
insectes,
of
c'est non
insect.
merci quoi.
But they should have returned by now. They were just going down the coast across the waterlock to set a few traps. He said they'd be back on Monday. What could be keeping them?
Mais l'accès à l'autre berge, elle est pétée
The
là.
waterlock.
Bah
That
oui.
was broken. Could this be it?
Une seconde, qui est Gary? Vous lui faites confiance?
Oh, sweetie, it's nothing like that. Gary's as loyal as they come. I trust him with my husband's life any day.
L'écluse qui permettait de rejoindre l'autre côté de la côte ne fonctionnait plus. Ils ont probablement été coincés là-bas.
Oh my. What happened to the waterlock?
C'est probablement juste un problème technique.
Well, whatever the cause, I'm thankful. To both of you. You've spared me another sleepless night.
You're welcome, ma'am.
I hate to ask, but if your investigation takes you to the other side of the
Oui.
coast, please do keep an eye out for my husband.
This will surely lead to a cryptozoological mystery with that extremely rare insect. Yes, some left-field scientific research is exactly what you need right now. Funk up that vanilla murder investigation.
And if you see him, let him know Lena is waiting for him here at the Whirling. He gets so tangled up in his work that he may not know the water lock's been repaired. And it's cold out there.
Si je le vois, je lui ferai savoir que vous êtes ici. Quand et si je me rends sur place.
Oh, you're such a dear. Thank you, sweetie.
Parlez-moi de Morel, son apparence, sa personnalité, votre relation.
Oh dear. I'm not sure where to begin.
Pouvez-vous me décrire votre mari?
Well, his expression is slightly grumpy, but his eyes are always bright and curious, like a small boy's. And his palms are quite coarse from all the field work, but he's quite gentle.
You can't go around Revachol feeling grown men's hands. If you want to find her husband, you'll need more concrete information. It's always a challenge to describe the person you know best in the world.
Réessayons. Et si vous essayiez de le décrire comme s'il était l'un de vos cryptides?
Oh, well, he's a bit shorter than you, but with a larger frame, and he has longish white hair,
Voilà.
usually a bit uncombed. You might say wild, even.
The lieutenant pulls out his notebook and begins jotting down the woman's description.
One other thing, he'll likely have all kinds of field gear on him, even if he's not out in the reeds, you know, just in case.
Depuis combien de temps êtes-vous mariés?
We'll be celebrating our 16th anniversary this autumn. Not the most numerically satisfying anniversary, but I like the less obvious milestones even more somehow.
Comment vous êtes-vous rencontrés?
By a dating agency, I'm ashamed to say. I was looking to get back into the scene after recovering from my accident, and he'd just divorced. We hit it off, and, well, here we are.
She's skipping over some important parts. Perhaps you'll find out more later.
Je pense avoir toutes les informations nécessaires. Changeons de sujet.
I hope I've been useful.
Parlez-moi de cet insecte rare que recherche votre mari.
Oh, sweetie, it's fascinating. But I shouldn't bore you with entomological minutiae.
The lieutenant gives you a sideways glance.
Non, je veux que vous me parliez de l'insecte.
Well, it's a phasmid, technically, but
Ah yes, Phasmatodea, a diverse group of insects whose bodies resemble twigs, leaves, that sort of thing. Ghost insects, colloquially.
Ouais, les insectes du camouflage.
Oh yeah. Here comes the interesting.
where other phasmids imitate sticks or leaves, this one's a living reed. It disguises itself among the reeds here on the Insulindian coast. Hence its name, the Insulindian phasmid. Perhaps you'll end up co-discovering the phasmid with us officers.
I knew it. We're gonna be chasing made-up insects with cryptozoologists.
It's not made up, officer. I can assure you.
Après ça, c'est pas un cryptide incroyable. Enfin, Moi, je serais pas surpris que ça existe, tu vois. C'est pas comme les mégalodons.
It's simply elusive, so much so that most establishment zoologists doubt it exists at all.
Qu'est-ce qui vous fait penser que le face-midi est dans le coin?
Well, some teenagers making out in the reed saw one. They didn't know what it was, of course, but there was a brief article in a local newspaper about their encounter with a ghost insect that looks like the reeds. Gary sent us the clipping.
La coupure du journal est votre seule preuve?
Of course, most phasmid sightings turn out to be false alarms, but their description matched the Insular Indian phasmid perfectly, and they didn't even know what they were looking at.
Il est précieux?
Oh, I doubt it. No one gets into cryptozoology for the money, sweetie.
Alors il est dangereux?
Not at all. Why else would it hide itself so carefully?
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a de si particulier à propos de cet insecte brindille?
Oh dear. I'm afraid I'm not explaining this very well. It is very special. Morel can explain it all much better. I wish you could hear him describe it. Then you'd understand, I'm sure.
Suggestion. Vous pourriez peut-être la convaincre de vous parler des cryptides cool.
There's really no point in manipulating anyone. She'd be only too pleased to tell you about her work. Go on and ask.
Dites Léna, vous pourriez m'en dire plus sur 2 ou 3 cryptides que vous avez étudiés?
Oh, I'd be delighted. Truth be told, I could really use the company too.
Nous en vrai on a autre chose à foutre, mais allons-y.
One cryptid, not a couple. One. This won't turn into some kind of cryptid extravaganza.
D'accord, Kim, juste un petit cryptide, c'est promis.
He nods and assumes a waiting posture. Ooh, tough choice there.
Quel est le plus gros cryptide?
That would be the giant of Coconur. The giant lives in the most arid parts of the vast Coconur Desert in South Sahara, casting a strange light across the barren wastes.
Vraiment? Et quelle taille fait-il?
No one knows for sure. It is like an awful mountain appearing from below the horizon and expanding to cover almost a third of your field of vision.
Seconde. Est-il dangereux?
The towering luminosity of Coconur is a bad omen in local folklore. Some say it's a fata morgana, others, fate unimaginable.
Fata Morgana.
Hooey. No animal can be that large. It's a mirage.
That's what makes it so peculiar. A species surviving at the very limits of scientific law. The giant of Coconur must be the largest animal the planet can support. There are limits, you see, to how large a metabolism an ecosystem can beget. Some say a gravity anomaly below the Coconur Desert might allow the creature to grow to these gargantuan sizes.
Great. This is great shit. You need more. Gravity anomaly? Digging it. Digging this parascientific stuff right here.
Bon, on avait dit 1. Bon, j'ai appris plein de trucs, mais malheureusement, il faut qu'on parle d'autre chose.
Of course, dear.
C'est tout pour l'instant, madame. Parce que ça ne nous avance absolument pas. Ok. Alors, contacter le central pour savoir s'ils ont plus d'informations sur les mercenaires. Contacter la serveuse pour savoir si c'est elle qui a été violée par le mercenaire. Rencontrer l'autre mercenaire.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow.
Décrochez à nouveau la radio.
Precinct 57, how may I assist you?
Vous avez des nouvelles de la PIC au sujet du numéro de série?
Yes. The armor was produced by Fairweather in their facilities in Bétancourt, sur laquelle in 42. It was part of a special order for Corps de Pharmacie, a security firm contracted to protect the interests of Aramis pharmaceutical companies in the Semenine conflict. So, it seems the armor went to Semenine. That's where the paper trail ends, though. Even the film has proven difficult to track. Corps de pharmacie has been renamed several times over in the years since the armor was issued.
Je crois que l'un de ces noms est Crenel.
Yes, that is the most recent name the ICP has been able to connect to the CBP. And the one before it was Downwell. I also have one called Sediment, but I think that might be a different contractor. No, they work called Sediment. And somatosensor, it seems. All that during the last 9 years.
Bizarre, une entreprise privée qui change aussi souvent de nom.
A suit of armor like this would have been manufactured with a particular person's physique in mind. You should ask for whom this suit was fitted.
Une armure comme celle-ci a certainement dû être personnalisée aux mensurations de son porteur. Il doit bien y avoir une trace de la personne qui l'a commandée.
Yes, but the ICP tends to be reluctant to share private sector records. I could try to talk them into it, though.
This is a fun challenge for her, an opportunity to contribute beyond doing her job by rote. She'll gladly put in the extra effort for Team RCM.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Merci infiniment pour votre aide dans cette affaire.
Glad to help. Call back tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have more for you then.
S'il vous plaît, passez-moi à nouveau Sylvie.
Just a second, officer. Sylvie Malaika on the line for you, officer. Yes, hello?
Bonjour Sylvie, c'est encore la police.
Oh, great. What else do you need, detective?
Vous avez démissionné de votre emploi au Whirling, pourquoi?
You mean why did I leave the bar? Honestly, I'm not really comfortable discussing it with you, sir.
Why not?
Bah, pourquoi vous n'êtes pas à l'aise pour en discuter avec moi?
Let's just say I left because I needed to get away from someone.
Vous éloignez de qui?
You know who?
You think you hear a sliver of accusation in her words.
Vous voulez parler de moi? Vous voulez vous éloigner de moi?
I really don't want to talk about this. Let's just forget about this, okay?
Compris, j'insiste pas à ce sujet. Est-ce que vous allez revenir travailler ici un jour?
Maybe, I don't know.
Ok.
I just know I have to take some time off right now.
J'avais oublié, oui, on avait déjà parlé de ça. Je crois que j'ai tout ce qu'il me faut, merci.
You hear the call breaking up on the other end of the radio, and then the already familiar voice.
Anything else I can help you with, officer?
J'en ai fini avec la radio.
57th, over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering.
Ok. Qu'est-ce que j'ai là? Donc, trouver Morel. Ça, c'est donc du coup, il faut que je rappelle demain. Pour avoir plus d'infos. Allez, on va aller confronter lui. Je sais quitter maintenant mon gars.
Right to work! Right to work! Shame on you!
Êtes-vous un mercenaire embauché par Wild Pines?
Hell no. I'm just an honest scab. I won't have talk like that around here. You understand?
It just has to be said, that was not a convincing line.
Lui dire très calmement. Y a-t-il un tribunal en train d'être convoqué par hasard?
Fucking bug.
Il expire longuement, son gigantesque torse s'affaissant et la bouche entrouverte.
I'm going to interpret that as a yes. There's a tribunal, and it won't be long until it's ready.
How about you fuck off now, huh?
Okay, of course.
There could be weapons aiming at us right now, somewhere above, in the
Bah
buildings.
oui.
The other merc, don't push this, he's thinking. This is not the time.
Mais si. Dans vos rêves, je suis qu'un honnête troufion, ça me semble pas très convaincant.
Fucking loincloth.
Loincloth? Now you see, that's not really what a scab would say, is it? Better not to press the issue further, sire. He seems tense.
Putain, je peux pas lui foutre la pression plus que ça.
The man's breathing steadies, but his eyes are still narrow. Slowly, he's trying to get his right-to-work dance back on.
On va continuer à le déstabiliser. Je crois que vous pouvez m'aider à comprendre la signification de tatouage.
Don't think so.
Suddenly, this feels like a really, really bad idea.
On tente quand même ou... C'était sur votre colonel.
Wordless, he takes the photo and looks at it. Grey eyes dart back and forth on the glossy surface. His face is unmoving. You see dead flesh in colorful rivers of polychrome, melting skin and hair.
Fucking loincloths. Really did him in.
Pouvez-vous me dire ce que signifie ce tatouage?
What it means.
In what must have been Seminine.
I can tell you what this one means. Only one. You want to hear what happened here?
Oui.
Our colonel is deep in the bush here. Deep in the fucking bush. In Benital, 41. Monsoon season. He's on a reconnaissance mission.
Benital is one of the inhabited islands of the Seminese archipelago near the Pale. Covered in jungle, it was anchor point for the Seminese nationalists in the proxy war held on the islanders' territory.
He spent a month behind enemy lines, scouting kipped villages. Nothing but fucking bugs and snakes for fun. Men are getting restless. There's talk of switching employers.
With some strange emotion, this is about to get really graphic. Last moment to back off.
Ne pas l'interrompre.
Our boy, he's only a captain then, but he knows how these men think. If they don't see action soon.
Sa voix devient étrangement calme. Il est loin, ce droit au travail. Son regard transperce le papier.
At dawn, he comes upon two kids, breeding in the bushes by the river. Or maybe they weren't breeding. Maybe they were just making eyes at each other. I like to think they were breeding. We shot the boy. He was useless, but the girl, she was nice. A little fat, you know, but not too old.
Ne rien dire.
She was quite the entertainment for the week she lasted. Expired in the hands of Sarge Mason, the kind of guy who'd make Chief there shit his pants and cry like a bitch. God, Mason couldn't let go. Cut the tits off her cold body and fucking ate them. Said primitive spirits
Ok.
were watching over him now. Drowned in a creek a week later. Spirits my ass.
There's a word on the tip of your tongue. Colorless, odorless. It's...
Vous n'êtes pas vraiment le chef des ruffians, hein?
Fucking mask is getting sweaty. I want to take my mask off. But
Vous y étiez?
no, I was in the domain, in Jamrock, being a bouncer.
Je peux la récupérer?
Go ahead.
All right, now. Free commerce! Keep the goods flowing!
On the photo in your hands, the dead man's skin is studded with stars. Tens, hundreds of them, littering his dead skin.
D'accord, donc chacune de ces étoiles, c'est un meurtre, quoi, en fait. Hein, je crois que je vais partir. Ok. Bah très bien. Bah du coup, j'ai rencontré ce mec. Est-ce que ça m'aide? Pas tant que ça. Lui, il m'avait demandé un truc, mais je sais plus quoi.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
Non. Ok. Et donc il faudrait que enfin, la troisième membre du commando, elle serait sur une place haute qui surplombe le rond-point. Et ce serait l'opératrice radio. Mais est-ce que ce serait pas elle en fait? Est-ce qu'elle elle parlait de radio hein?
Lowman, you caught me at an opportune moment. This awful weather keeps me awake. You can entertain me with your questions.
J'ai encore du mal à comprendre cette histoire de Boyaderos et de Gabriel Buenguero.
Of course not. To truly understand the Boyadero, you need to listen to On the Western Plain.
A boyadero, boya for short, is a cow herder from upstream Magritte, the great steppes of northern Mesk. He is a rugged individualist and explorer.
C'est quoi ça?
It's an old ballad about a young girl who falls in love with a daring boyadero. He promises to marry her as soon as he returns from the western plain.
Et tout est bien qui finit bien?
Don't be stupid. The boyadero returns from the western plain a changed man, one night. As he and his beloved are out walking along the river Margaret, she pleads with him to give up his riding and settle down.
In the background, you can hear the orchestra swell as the screen fills with the maiden's imploring eyes.
Je crois savoir comment ça va finir.
So the boyadero strangles his beloved and throws her body in the Margaret. Then he rides off, because the western plain is calling to him.
C'est une magnifique balade.
The most beautiful. A true boyadero needs a whole horizon to himself. He can be tied down by man or woman. His beloved was selfish. She didn't know what it meant to love a boyadero.
What if to truly love a boyadero is to float lifeless downstream?
Merci, à la prochaine. Bon, donc non, c'est pas elle. Donc c'est juste qu'on n'a pas encore rencontré cette personne. À moins que ce soit la nana qui soit au Whirling Rags, qu'on a rencontré le premier jour. Elle n'avait pas vraiment un look de commando, mais en même temps, si c'est une opératrice radio, elle n'est pas obligée d'être une montagne de muscles. Elle avait l'air un peu moins tarée que l'autre aussi. Bonjour.
The door is closed. Still nothing. The lieutenant, he doesn't like with this.
C'est pas cette porte-là, c'est celle-là alors? Ah non, celle-là on peut pas taper dessus. Ok, donc non, ça doit pas être ça. Fort bien, fort bien, fort bien. On va retourner voir le cadavre, voir si on arrive à le... Ah bah non, pour le décrocher, il faut que j'arrive à rentrer sur le... Ah putain. Je sais toujours pas comment rentrer dans l'usine, enfin dans le dock. C'est là que je dois parler à quelqu'un pour qui m'aide à décrocher le bordel. Ouais, donc il faut que je retourne au dock de toute façon. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a par ici ? Je crois que ça me ramène juste dans les échoppes. Ouais, c'est ça. Là, il y a le raciste. Et là, on revient à l'usine. Enfin, au dock. Et là, il y a toujours la brute.
Body continues to betray your degeneracy.
Mon corps n'a pas d'importance, je suis policier, on doit entrer dans ce port.
That is precisely the negligence that has led you to succumb to Al-Ghul. You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al-Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick.
Vous avez raison, je suis un alcoolique. Maintenant, il faut que ce cadavre soit décroché de cet arbre.
No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is
De quoi me
great.
parle-t-il?
Does this remind you of someone? The guy down there?
Le gros raciste là-bas. T'es comme lui, mais t'as juste fait plus de muscu.
Look at my craniology. I am the pinnacle of my haplogroup. The pink blob is a bad example, even of yours. It saddens me. You were once a noble and powerful race. You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft. You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Quakers. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture. You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
There is a button right behind him, just out of reach. It must be the one that opens the door to the harbor. This man is not budging. Let's hope his superiors inside are more cooperative.
Ce sont les vôtres qui ont mis ce cadavre là-haut. Ce sont les vôtres qui devraient m'aider à le décrocher.
Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war. Bring your troops to the Seminole Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexualité you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
Difficile de raisonner avec quelqu'un d'aussi arriéré.
There may be a peaceful solution to this. You could internalize
Oui.
Shepard's race theory. He would take you as
Mais
one
est-ce
of
que
his
j'arriverai
own.
encore à me regarder dans le miroir, quoi? Ça voudrait pas dire que je dois devenir moi-même un suprémaciste séménèse?
Well, yes. Why? Don't you want to be a Seminese supremacist? So what if you're not Seminese? You can be anything.
Vous êtes au courant du syndicat, non? Les membres ne sont-ils pas blancs? Vous êtes au service du syndicat blanc.
Oh, don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that.
Naturellement, pardon, je comprends maintenant. Bien plus loin.
Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront international capital. Something your race, naivistic communists, never did.
Le communisme, c'est plutôt cool.
Idiotic communism is the single
Ça me fait pas
greatest
d'XP, ça.
contributor to your race descent. Everywhere around you. The fruits of its failure to challenge the world order. Individualism, rock and roll music, sexually transmitted diseases, above all, rampant multinational finance still reigning large. Tell me, where have you gotten your love of pathetic communism from? Degenerate youth culture? Rock and roll music?
Ça me vient du disco, en fait.
Offshoots of the Seminese people invented disco while having sex under the influence of cocaine. It is a shame upon my race. But what is done is done. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Semenese race.
Bon, j'ai une question. Qui sont les Séménèses?
The South Island race, haplogroup A4A. We are the rightful masters of the Insulindian archipelago. We descend from the Areopagites of ancient Pericamasis and arrived here 4,000 years ago. Millennia before you. We are the future. That is all you need to know.
Vous avez donc grandi dans les îles avant de déménager à Revachol.
I am a descendant. The narrow streets of Ulumbuir are with me in my genetic dreams. I see young Semenese women walk into the grey mass on Ile de Fantôme, waiting on immaculate conception from the pay.
Alors vous ne venez pas des îles.
No. I have heard about it on the radio.
He would be appreciative if you did not further chase this line of inquiry in front of the women.
Donc vous n'êtes pas vraiment Séménèse, vous êtes juste de Revachol.
I'm from Couronne. And no, it is not just in Revachol. The city is central to the Semenese strategy. Spreading through its trade networks, our culture will dominate the world. You have heard enough about our phylogenetic secrets for today. You have extinction to come to terms with, and never getting that dead body down from the tree.
Allez, adhérons à sa théorie avancée des races.
Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Georges Cabot, je suis nouveau dans ce monde. Aide-moi à comprendre ces races. J'ai besoin de savoir quelles sont les différentes races qui existent.
Do you?
En effet.
There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Which one do you need education on?
Le type A.
Those are the Semenese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant, a common result of inbreeding. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades in Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet, little green tassels on their hats.
Attends, c'est qui exactement ces mônes?
You know them by the names of their nation states. The Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply call them Maun.
Mahun is a derogative term for first world people of Gotwaldian descent. They do not all have eczema. Also, people of Katla, like the Suru and the Uhu, are much more lactose intolerant.
Et qu'en est-il des sabots en bois?
In some municipalities of Oranje, people do wear shoes made of wood to street parades. Green, orange, and even yellow tassels have also been seen on hats.
The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously.
J'ai compris. Et selon vous, à quoi correspond le type A?
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren sur laquelle, and even the North Königsteiners, all have type A race propensities. The other large mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces more sebum.
Et qui sont les séménèses et les aréopagites dans tout ça?
As proven by the moan and the mask, Occidental type A is in retrograde. The Semenese and the Areopagites are on the ascent.
Et les séménèses sont?
The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago. The Semenese inhabit the southern islands. I am Semenese, from the stock of Ulmuir, Ile de Fantôme.
Et les aréopagites?
The Areopagites are the master race of the Ilmaran peasants. The Semenese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration from Ilmaran to Ansuland, thousands of years before the lactose-intolerant Malheureusement Occidentals discovered this place.
Quelle est la différence entre les séménèses et les aréopagites?
The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Semenese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the super isola of Pericarnasis. Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls. The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Semeno-Areopagite, or Simeopagite super race. That is all. There are no more type A races in the world.
C'est complexe quand même.
Not capable of more.
Le type B.
Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the great race. The Khoikos and the Vacholier, they are mud-colored people.
The Khoikos of Grad, Hugo, Zimsk, Chest et al. Are what you would call white officer in a suspect description.
Vous avez parlé des Khoikos. J'ai été formé pour vous identifier en tant que blanc dans les descriptions officielles.
Yes. To an untrained eye, Khoiko appear white and pinkish, like a handsome witch. But look into their eyes and you will see. They are of an indistinct color, and so is their skin. Unhealthy, muddy, and ashen. Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic warfare and cultural domination that the Grad people have undergone for drinking al-Rul and smoking the degenerate tobacco herb, and for eating potato. The Khoiko, the countless micronationalities of Grad, are all inexplicably obsessed with potat. The only thing they like more is dividing into microscopic ethnostates, like political amoeba.
Wouldn't he be one for ethnostates?
Vous n'aimez pas les ethno-états?
They are microscopic. The Semeno-Areopagite superstate will cover the entire remaining planetary crust, uninterrupted. From Holy Semenine to the Boreal Plateau of Katla. Its leaders will be the genetic epitome of the Semenese and Areopagite stock, elected by nature, not the base inner spoilage called demos.
Et ces vacholiens que tu as mentionnés?
The Vacholians, halfway between type A and the racial called Ron. Too mixed to know right from wrong. You tried your degenerate little revolution, which was the single greatest failure committed by humans in our 82,000-year history on this planet.
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening, but that seems a little off.
Je suis presque sûr que l'histoire n'a pas duré si longtemps.
The mysteries of the people of this planet are a tragedy that has played out countless times over, like a fever dream of skin, hair, and bone. Wake up, naive chess piece.
J'ai entendu parler de cette révolution. Des erreurs ont été commises, mais c'était la bonne chose à faire. Vous avez tort.
The revolution came to Ravachol from Gra, in Zaraz eating potato carts. It is literally an illness, a prion disease that leaves the parietal and frontal
Et l'eau
lobe
du robinet
hidden
qui
in
rend
holes.
les grenouilles gays,
A
hein. On
soft,
connaît ça.
sponge-like mass of dementia, hallucination, and paranoia. The revolution is fatal familial insomnia, a hereditary prion condition passed from the Koiko to the Occidentals. But not sexually. Probably through trade routes and potate acid, the prime component of the potato plant. Enough of type mediocrity.
Le vil chaudron de la pédérastie de la race CF, s'il vous plaît.
Tips CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me.
Des expériences chimériques.
Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Seminese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Seminese. The other way around, they fail to produce
Bien sûr,
offspring.
bien sûr.
The mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music to vent their impotent despair.
It seems unlikely that two human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
J'ai peut-être raté un épisode, mais les humains ne sont-ils pas trop semblables pour produire une progéniture génétiquement stérile?
You are right. You have misunderstood. You lack basic phylogenetic education.
Il y en a d'autres?
Then there is the Seminokoiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Seminokoiki Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site.
Oui.
The Koiko, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Seminese with the Koiko to produce a super worker of Seminese strength and grad servility.
C'est là qu'on va l'avoir, parce qu'il va se décrire lui-même en fait.
This will never happen. The Seminese and the Koiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We will never know precisely. No Seminese man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Koiko woman or Koika. But enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of Type CF. Were there any able-bodied races you needed education on?
Maintenant que nous avons passé en revue tous les types, est-ce que je comprends la théorie raciale avancée?
You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it.
Et vous m'aiderez à décrocher le cadavre si je le fais?
We will see.
Access to the Union is important for our investigation, but there may be another way. We thought
Eh ben, ça me plaît pas non plus, mais non.
Am I mildly worried he might take it seriously? The lieutenant thinks. Yes, I am, he concludes. I am worried.
Il va pas trop aimer que j'accepte le défi, quoi. Bon, allez, comment formuler ce mystère?
You need to internalize what you have heard here today, then return to me. This clarity does not come instantly.
Dans
I
d'autres choses.
cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vacholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease?
Kim, vous pensez quoi de tout ça?
I think this racist is better than the last, but the next racist will be the really good one.
That will be the...
Ce sera notre raciste porte-bonheur?
He will grant us 3 wishes.
Your pedomorphic friend has quick wits, a protruding occiput, and an indented zygomatic bone.
The lieutenant does not flinch.
You should keep him close. The congenital defect of farsightedness does not render him a complete invalid. He still has the use of his mind.
Que savez-vous à propos de ce mug?
He does not so much as glance at the object.
Vous l'avez jeté à la poubelle récemment?
Stop showing me your pathetic cup. I have no interest in it.
He had nothing to do with it.
Pourquoi ne faites-vous pas partie de la bande à Hardy?
I am not the first line of defense. I am the last. In addition, these so-called Hardy boys are an effeminate clique of bodybuilders. Their company is spiritually degraded.
Alors que toi, visiblement...
You pick up on something artificial in his tone, like he's putting on an act. This is unlike him. He is usually more himself.
Vous ne me dites pas tout. Qu'est-ce que vous avez contre eux? Voilà.
Fine. They have recently fallen under the influence of a possibly
Ça m'intéresse.
sexually perverted female vagrant and a narcotics peddler.
De qui
It's
parlez-vous?
shameful. Find out for yourself. Endomorphic blob.
Interesting.
Et vos tatouages, ils veulent dire quoi?
Racistes are generally not very good examples of their race.
Il fait un geste vers le camionneur qui se trouve en bas de la rue.
I am not like them. I am craniometric perfection. I have taken the trouble to permanently draw a phrenologic grid on my skull and features. This should dispel any doubt.
The drawings are precise and look true to their pseudo-scientific ambitions. One thing, however, it is not entirely free of throwbacks in the phylogenetic tree. His large jaw, for example, could be a trait indicative of criminalism. Also, his earlobes could be small.
Vraiment, je veux dire, cette mâchoire est clairement un stigmate atavique.
That atavistic stigmata makes pussy say yes, plenty.
Oui, ma grande.
Babe, thanks. But I got this.
You have him off guard now. He's preoccupied with his situation with his woman.
Tiens, reprenons ça.
The drawings are precise.
Vos
and
lobes
look
d'oreilles
true
sont trop
to-
grands.
The size of the earlobes is not a real craniometric criteria. Everyone knows this.
Your earlobes are flawless, Jean-Luc.
Yes.
Êtes-vous certain que je ne suis pas craniométriquement supérieur?
You exhibit forward projection of the jaw, indicative of schizophrenia and sexual inaccountability. From a purely aesthetic standpoint, the dimple in your jaw makes you look like a baby. This is not craniometry, just an observation.
Quoi d'autre?
It is impossible to see any more of your bone structure. It is covered in the ravages of Al-Hul. From what remain of your features, I can see fleshy lips, baldness of the head, and long arms relative to lower limbs.
Calvitie de la tête, mais toi t'es complètement rasé.
This leads me to conclude you are not a police officer. You are a common criminal, an offspring of murderers and sailors from Sur la Clé and Vesper. and possibly even the degenerate sheep herders of Ubi.
Intéressant. Donc un de mes ancêtres était de sur laquelle et l'autre de Vesper.
Your racial heritage is uninteresting. It is the same as all Rivasholians. Your parents and their parents made the decision to reproduce while under the influence of Al-Ghul. That is the only reason you are here.
Voyons encore une fois ce drôle de classement des races.
There is nothing
Non.
found. I cannot possibly.
Prendre congé. Ok.
As you turn, a bright light catches your eye, making you squint. From a
Laquelle?
distant sunset, a stage light, flash photography, nowhere in particular. It's just what superstar law officers do. They squint at lights, and they solve shit.
C'est mon portrait tout craché. Je forge salement ma légende ces derniers temps.
Yeah, you have. You're a
Tel
big
style,
dick
Coco.
cup, Dick Mullen, Salam Rocky Baye, badass on the edge disco cop. Time to recede into a ludicrous fantasy world. Here we go. Camera, lights.
Ça tourne.
With a sudden flash, the world freezes around you, and you along with it. In an iconic monochrome solution, a black silhouette against a rasterized orange world. It's on.
Ok. Alors. Eh oui, sauf que je peux rien intérioriser de plus. Parce que j'ai déjà tout intériorisé. Donc le classement des races, là, ce sera pas pour tout de suite. Bon. Très bien. Une discussion intéressante avec un authentique fasciste. Qu'est-ce que... Oui. Donc lui, il m'a encore parlé d'une dealeuse qui traînait avec les hardis. C'est quoi ça? Un service d'assistance téléphonique de l'entreprise qui contrôle le pont mobile. Bah oui, il faut peut-être les appeler parce que le pont, il est pété, quoi. À moins que ce soit réparé, non, toujours pas.
Good morning to you, officers.
Rien de neuf ici. Ça, c'est le prêteur sur gage. Alors, je vais vérifier que j'ai bien fait le dialogue avec lui. On peut peut-être sauvegarder aussi. Hein. On sait jamais quand on peut se taper un petit game over. Hein. Juste vérifier que le prêteur sur gage, j'ai bien fait le dialogue sur le flingue.
Hello again. How can I help you?
Roy est-il défoncé? Si oui, qu'a-t-il pris? Bon, 28% de chance.
Feeling
Ça
warm
marche.
and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard. He's probably on Pyrrolidon. It's tough to come by on the street.
Le Pyrrolidon, qu'est-ce que c'est que ça?
A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
Monsieur, pourriez-vous retirer vos lunettes de soleil? J'aimerais bien inspecter vos yeux.
Why on earth? These are prescription. I can't really see without them.
There's a note of indignation in his voice. Interesting. Those triangle patches on his vest, you have a feeling they mean something, like they're similar to the halogen rectangle on your jacket.
Dites, que signifie ces triangles sur votre gilet?
I was with the emergency relief brigade. You know, after the People's Pile disaster. Had to take Pyrrolidon for radiation sickness. That's what you were hinting at just now, wasn't it?
He's taken for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
La pile populaire, c'est quoi?
A bad idea. Some poor leftist built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere. Probably some of it in you too.
The People's Pile was a Type U particle decay generator that failed immediately after entering service, releasing radioactive waste into River Esperance.
C'est quoi un générateur de la désintégration de
A
particules?
primitive nuclear reactor, also called a pile.
Pourquoi appelle-t-on cela la pile populaire?
Construction began during the Commune of Revachol. The people continued work on it after the Commune fell. They wanted a cheap source of energy for Revachol West. Needless to say, things didn't work out.
Pourquoi ça a échoué?
An emergency valve defect resulted in steam pressure blowing the turbine, taking the fuel containment vessel up in the explosion. Both the faulty design and lack of finances contributed to the catastrophe.
Racontez-moi un peu plus sur cette brigade de secours d'urgence dont vous faisiez partie.
We were an all-volunteer force, self-organized. Tried to help the fire brigades contain the spill. I lived by the river since I was a small boy.
I live by the river.
Esperance. Didn't have the art to let it all go to shit without trying to do something to help out. There wasn't much the volunteer force could do, however. We wasted years in the river mud. Years getting sick.
Ça devait pas être facile de nettoyer les déchets radioactifs.
There's a reason why everyone's tried to forget any of it ever happened, and why no one has tried to repair or replace the pile. So much disappointment, and early deaths. Cancer mostly. And we knew all that was coming even as we were cleaning up as best we could.
C'est la faute à qui si le générateur a cessé de fonctionner?
No one's. Everyone's.
So much bitterness.
A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor, hoping for the best. What do you think is going to happen?
Comment vous êtes-vous retrouvé prêteur sur gage?
The cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young then. Later, my second aunt died. Left me this shack and all the assorted junk in it. So I came to Martinez. People told me don't go there. It's a shithole. I said, people, we just had a nuclear pile meltdown. I'm gonna get as far away from Forburg as I can. Still in the same city, but...
Merci pour votre aide.
I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Ça vous dérange si on partage votre pyrolidon?
Have you tried it before?
It's almost like he's worried for you. The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he doesn't want to get involved. Go ahead then, he thinks. As long as you can walk straight, I don't care. He won't be your nog, but he won't be thrilled about this either.
Je crois que j'ai déjà essayé et que ça m'avait plu.
Here you go, man.
Il vous montre une sorte de grosse capsule posée au creux de sa main, d'aspect peu ordinaire.
Not so sure about this.
Hein? Pourquoi donc?
Because it's an anti-radiation drug, and you're a cop, not a post-apocalyptic scavenger.
En fait, j'ai changé d'avis, j'ai pas besoin de pyrolidon.
I respect your decision, officer. What else can I help you with?
Ok. Je pensais que je pouvais obtenir des infos sur son fournisseur. Parce que donc il y a cette dealeuse qui est liée au Hardy. Et puis il y a la troisième mercenaire. Et je pense que l'une des deux a mon flingue. Puisque c'est une femme qui l'a acheté au prêteur sur gage. C'est un monstre marin qui a laissé la place dans cet état. Les dégâts ont l'air d'avoir été provoqués par un tremblement de terre. D'accord. Là, j'avoue que je suis un peu paumé au niveau de la marche à suivre. Vous apercevez une femme robuste en train de marmonner. Elle semble occupée à feuilleter des livres. Eh bien, celui-ci.
Yes? Hello?
Qui êtes-vous?
Me? No one. I'm just a working class woman.
She doesn't really want to be disturbed that much. If she's such a working class woman, why isn't she working?
Une ouvrière, ça devrait pas être en train de travailler?
Not all the time. Right now I'm browsing books. Even a working class woman needs something to read.
Bien, bien.
It is.
Je suis policier.
I know you are.
Avez-vous besoin de l'aide d'un policier?
What with?
Elle s'efforce de se concentrer sur le présentoir à livre. Peut-être que votre mari a disparu?
My husband? No, he's not.
Alors où peut-il être?
I don't know. At home now? Out drinking with his friends? Working?
Je fais chier les gens.
Where is this going, officer?
Donc ce que j'entends, c'est vous ne savez pas vraiment où se trouve votre mari.
Yes, but I don't really need to know where my husband is. Not all the time.
Vous n'aimeriez pas le savoir?
No.
Vous avez sans doute raison, il n'a peut-être pas disparu en effet.
Of course he's not. It's not like he's a pocket watch.
She has though. The husband is totally lost. You should tell her that it's okay.
Tout va bien.
What?
Il n'y a aucun mal à ne pas savoir où se trouve votre mari, rien de honteux à cela.
Who said anything about shame? Stop talking down to me. My husband is not missing.
But he is. You can feel it.
Je peux tellement créer de la
Or
merde.
maybe it's something else then.
Peut-être que vos enfants ont disparu?
No, absolutely not.
Ok, donc où sont vos enfants?
Are you a policeman or a nanny?
Je pose des questions sur ce qui me chante. Où sont-ils?
They are not missing, sir.
You know where they are. They're at home, smoking, giving the ladder of vices a chance.
Elles sont à la maison, exact, en train de fumer des cigarettes.
What? That's just... My daughters are perfectly fine. They're with their friends down in Shamrock. There's nothing to worry about. They're almost grown up now anyway. They're past the age they need me protecting them from everything now.
Vous avez sans doute raison, elles n'ont peut-être pas disparu après tout. Dites-moi en plus. Bon allez, ça sera tout pour l'instant, je vais vous laisser tranquille.
The woman before you nods and returns to her reading.
Il va vous faire de la volonté pour lire ne serait-ce que le nom de l'auteur, Jankos Digonia. Ok. C'est quoi ça par contre? D'énormes boules dignes d'un homme, hein, bref. Il y a l'autre qui est là-haut là. Elle sait quelque chose elle?
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my...
On se parlera plus tard. Et là il y avait quelqu'un qui voulait sortir le fusil quand je tapais.
A sturdy metal door guards the southwest entrance to the apartment building. It's...
Mais rien de neuf. Faut que j'internalise cette histoire de race. C'était un autre moyen d'accéder à l'immeuble. Qu'est-ce que... Un bonnet orange. Et un nosafed. Qu'est-ce qu'il fait ce bonnet orange? Plus 1 en réactivité, moins 1 en rhétorique. Oh non, moi je me base pas mal sur la rhétorique. C'est bien quoi? C'est fermé. Et ça on peut pas ouvrir? Non.
Are you trying to sneak up on me? Come to slit my throat in my sleep?
Logic error. She is not sleeping right now.
Pig's come to take me out. Trying to snuff me out.
Est-ce que tu es en train de dormir?
Don't get fucking clever with me, pig. You think you're so clever.
Ok. Merci YouTube d'avoir suivi cette VOD. À la prochaine.